Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello and welcome to this episode of our show. This is your host, Keith Doherty. Today our special guest is top real estate agent Jamie Meloni of Coldwell Banker Residential Real Estate NRT based out of Tampa, Florida. Jamie is one of Tampa Bay's leading real estate sales professionals and has sold over $100 million in real estate and sold over 1,500 properties since 2007. He is a foreclosure sales specialist and has relationships with over 45 different bank and asset management company clients. He's also a radio host of The Business Show Monday through Fridays on Tampa Bay's 1250 WHNZ. His awards include Coldwell Banker International President's Elite Sales Award 2008, Coldwell Banker's International President's Premier Sales Award 2009, 11, 12, and 13, Coldwell Banker Society of Excellence Award Top Award Category 2010, 14, and 15, Coldwell Banker Tampa Bay Number 1 Sales Associate 2010, and Wall Street Journal Top 100 Real Estate Sales Professionals in 2012 and 2013. He is also ranked number 10 in 2013 and number 4 in 2014 for units sold amongst all Coldwell Banker offices. All right, with all that said, Jamie, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me today.
Hey, Jamie, if we could start for our listeners, what led you into real estate? Was it something that you always knew you wanted to do, or did you maybe stumble into it?
I would say I stumbled into it. I worked in industry for many years in the phosphate industry in the Tampa, Florida area. I was a chemistry student out of high school into college, and I had no aspiration of being a realtor. And so I worked in industry for 6 years, and just by chance, my girlfriend at the time decided to get a real estate license, and I met one of my friends in class, and he was a mortgage broker, and his wife was a realtor, and he said, "Oh, it's a good combination if you're a mortgage broker, your wife's a realtor." And I said, "Well, that makes sense." And so I decided to go get a mortgage broker license back in 2000, and I think it was 2005. Although I never did any work in the mortgage business. And subsequently thereafter, I got a real estate license. It was sort of just I piggybacked off of what my girlfriend had done at the time, and some advice from a friend in college who had a wife and team with himself there. And so that's how I got into real estate. And then I decided to leave industry after a layoff and go full force into real estate.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't seem like it's one of those careers. Even though it's so lucrative and it's so rewarding helping people, I don't think as many interviews as I've done with real estate professionals, I don't think one person has said, "Oh, I knew since I was like 3 years old that I wanted to be in real estate."
No, it's one of those things. It's a good business for somebody who, after they've, worked for somebody else and they've kind of experienced what it's like to, work, in a 9-to-5 job to get their own business, and the barriers to entry to real estate are fairly low in most states, and so you can get in there and get your own business with a minimal out-of-pocket cost. Not saying real estate's easy, but it's easy to get started.
Absolutely. So what personal attributes, traits, or qualities do you think have most contributed to the success that you had? And then can you talk a little bit about how you think you developed these?
Yeah. Organization has always been one of my strong suits. I specialize in the sale of bank-owned properties, and so staying organized and following direction and being a good conversationalist has always been some of my keys to success in the foreclosure sales business. I think I developed them probably early on. I started working at age 16 for my father, spent 5 years at 84 Lumber working in retail, so I got used to talking to customers and carrying on a conversation, because I would spend anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour with some of the customers, helping them throughout the store and loading up lumber and the different products. So I got used to talking to people. I've always been naturally organized. One thing I always did is anytime I do something and I know that I'm going to do that again, I study it and I find ways to minimize my time, make myself more efficient. And so that is a very big key to success, especially when you're selling bank-owned properties. I do the same procedure, same process, time and again. So I would do something. I would say, how can I do this quicker and more efficiently? I'd study programs and talk to people and then save time that way.
Yeah, I think that's a great point you made. And even outside of real estate, like you said, in any industry, if you can find a way that you have a task that you're going to do over and over, that you can kind of systematize it and put a process around it so that it can just be done quickly and easily versus, trying to, chug through it each and every time. I think it's going to help you, like you said, be organized and be a lot more efficient in turning the production around.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the earliest things I learned how to do was use Adobe Professional to create auto-filled contracts to where I could, type the contracts before any realtors knew how to do that. And now it's commonplace, but back in 2006 and 2007, that wasn't so much commonplace. But meanwhile, I had all my forms all pre-populated or pre-filled out so I could easily, quickly just get them prepped and get them out.
Excellent. And do you think you can maybe give our listeners another example, especially in the real estate world, of when your traits have played a role in your path towards success?
I'm very big in acquiring knowledge. My favorite quote is "Knowledge is power," and so I always believe to be the best, you gotta study, you gotta learn, you gotta constantly learn from your mistakes. And so being just a natural enthusiast for learning, that has definitely set me apart in the real estate market. So organization, natural thirst for knowledge, and being a good conversationalist, and above all, following direction. The typical real estate agent has a hard time following direction and staying organized and on task. They go from client to client. They lack the systems and the procedures to stay on point. And that's really critical in being a successful real estate agent, is having a system and not just bouncing from client to client hoping you get a check one day.
Now, Jamie, I think with any success that people have, that it's not usually always a smooth road to achieving success. So can you talk a little bit about some of the adversities and maybe trials that you had to overcome in order to achieve your goals and have the success that you have so far?
Yeah, when I entered real estate in 2006, I had no prior experience. I didn't have much of a network, and I had no real knowledge of real estate. So I spent the first year struggling through real estate. I started at Zip Realty. I went there because I saw they gave you leads. I thought, okay, this is good. So I went there and found out that was not a fit. I did make my first home sale there, but it was a struggle, and it took like 5 months to close, and I think I got about a $700 check out of it. Next, I moved over to Century 21 and didn't sell anything there. And by the time the spring rolled around, I had no sales other than that one at Zip Realty. And I was going back to school. I went back to school to get my degree in finance. And I was in one of my final semesters. And fortunately, just a chance conversation with one of my friends in class. He just happened to ask how I was doing in real estate. And I told him, I said, I'm terrible. I suck. I'm not doing anything at all. And he said, well, you should go over to this office and talk to my friend Deborah, because I had told him that I wanted to sell commercial real estate. And so there was a commercial real estate team at the office where I had went to. So I came to the office, which I'm at now. It's been 9 years. I started to interview with the commercial real estate team. But at the same time, I interviewed with the residential department, and I met who became my mentor, Amanda Huggins, who was the #1 agent in Hillsborough County for selling foreclosed properties. After interviewing with the commercial group and then interviewing with the residential group, seeing all the business that Amanda was doing with the foreclosures, and my own personal belief, and again, this was 2006, or actually 2007, that foreclosures were really going to start to really take up the market. I said I wanted to work for Amanda, and so I started to work for her, started taking all of her buyer leads, because when you start selling foreclosures, you get a lot of listings, but it also means you get a lot of buyer calls. At first, that's great, but then you kind of get tired of taking the buyer calls, and you just want to work the listing side because the buyer calls tend to overwhelm you. So you develop a buyer agent group to kind of help yourself segregate from that. And so, but I started selling a lot of her properties, and after that, I started going after my own clients underneath her brand. And sooner than later, I had my own clients, and about 2 years later, she ended up leaving the business, and I took over a lot of her business, and that was what led to me to becoming one of the top agents in Hillsborough County.
Excellent. And what, obviously you said, you within probably like a year time frame, you made like $700. So that's not too appealing to most people. So what, what kept you going despite these obstacles? Why didn't you give up? What made you stay the course?
Well, I knew I never wanted to work for somebody else again. I'd worked in industry and a lot of retail jobs. And I had money saved, and so I had resources. So I was fortunate in that department. I was also single and no children, and so I could be, well, I could do that if I had, children and a wife, and I would probably have to go back to work. But I just always believed in myself, and I always believe that if you keep doing something over and over and over again, as long as what you're doing over and over again makes sense, that you'll eventually see, the fruits of your labor. And that's what I did. I came in every day. I treated my job as a job and not, sleeping until 10, 11 o'clock like most realtors will tend to do, and making a few phone calls and showing a couple of properties. I mean, I really worked hard at it. I developed a database of contacts. I returned all my phone calls and just made a job of it.
I guess kind of looking forward a little bit, what's your vision for your business and your career, say, over the next 5 years?
Right now, I'm a radio show host. Part of my success has spun off a radio show. I started doing a real estate show 2.5 years ago called the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show. It morphed into a 5-day-a-week business and entrepreneurship show where I talk to business owners and entrepreneurs on the program every day. And 3 weeks ago, it morphed to a 2-hour-a-day show. So Monday through Friday, I'm live from 7 to 9 on the radio, and then I go sell real estate the rest of the day. So if I have my way in 5 years, hopefully I'm a nationally syndicated radio show host and not selling as much real estate. Real estate is still my moneymaker. Developing a radio show is a tough process, just like starting in real estate. You got to get your sponsors and your show partners, and all want to say, well, how many listeners you got? How many listeners you got? And that just takes time to build up an audience. And I'm doing a pretty good job with it. It's become I'm the only person in Tampa Bay doing a business formatted daily talk show on the airwaves. And I've gotten some great relationships from a lot of the local chambers, and also become a business partner with Tampa Bay Business Owners, an 8-year-old brand here of just business owners. And so I've taken over a business partner role with that. So in 5 years, if things go the right way, I'd like to be a nationally syndicated radio show host across Florida, talking to business owners and selling some real estate on the side. But who knows? I'm still a top performing real estate broker at this time.
Excellent. And I guess, from the real estate standpoint, what do you feel is the best way that you market yourself as a real estate professional so you can have continual growth?
Well, social media is key, and also having strong profiles on Zillow and probably Realtor.com. Reviews are very critical to getting retail business. See, I'm in the foreclosure space, so the way I market myself is a little bit different. But to the typical real estate agent, it's all about your online presence, and Zillow is really a key player in this, making sure that your profiles are filled out, that your listings are, well described with good photos, not just, camera photos from a cheap camera. And again, it's all about online presence. And also a big thing is having a team. I don't have a team myself, but a lot of the successful real estate agents have a team with a structure to them. And so for people that are having some issues with developing, I'd say consider looking at a team or building a team around you.
Excellent. And I think when it comes to real estate, and you kind of mentioned it earlier, that the barrier to entry is pretty straightforward. It doesn't mean you're going to have success, but for most part, anybody can, take a little training, pass the test, and then, they have a license to practice real estate in most states. Right. What do you think the biggest misconception or myth that people have about working with real estate agents?
That the community has with working with real estate agents?
Yeah, from a consumer standpoint, yeah.
Oh, that they all are trained and well educated and have the consumer's mind or consumer's best interest in mind. Many of them are poorly trained. I've dealt with thousands of them, tens of thousands of them through the year that don't understand, basic computer skills, how to fill out contracts properly. And so it's very critical that when you're working with an agent, get referrals. I recommend that more than anything. I mean, having a strong online presence is crucial also in attracting business, but nothing beats the referral. So if you're a consumer looking for a good real estate agent, the best place to go is to, somebody that you value and trust, and saying, who would you recommend? Now, they don't know anybody in the area, which is uncommon. Everybody knows a real estate agent. Then you got to go and do your due diligence of somebody online. But don't just assume because they have a real estate license that they are a top-notch professional. Many people in this business come and go, and they're typically in and out of the business within 12 months.
And you kind of just mentioned a few things there, but actually kind of where we were going to move this to is, let's say you get a call from a family member in another state where obviously you're not licensed. They want to sell their home. What advice would you give them about selecting an agent to best serve their needs? What would you tell them to look for?
Take advantage of the large brokerages referral networks. If somebody is moving out of the area, I could, call up our referral network and say, hey, I got, John Doe moving over here to Riverside, California, and there will be an agent in Riverside, California who takes referrals from the referral network. The good thing about that is the companies that have those programs, and pretty much all the large brokerages do, they really vet their agents that get those referrals. And so it's a good stream of business for that agent. And so if they were to screw up the leads or get bad feedback from a client, then they would no longer get those leads. And so, again, that's probably the best advice I could give somebody going into an area where they don't have any personal knowledge or any personal network to refer from.
Excellent. And Jamie, if someone needs an agent, especially in the Tampa area, what's the best way they can find out more information about you and how you can help them?
Oh, TampaBayRadio.com. That's my website. I have a contact form on there. They'll also see all my radio show stuff too. So I wear two hats each and every day. I host the radio show from 7 to 9 on 1250 WHNZ. Also video stream it live in studio, so they'll see the video too. But for real estate, just use the contact form. I also offer a free home valuation tool for home sellers in Tampa. Right on the home page, just put in their home's information, and I can get that out to them within about 24 to 48 business hours.
Excellent. Well, Jamie, we want to personally thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come here and share your real estate experience with all of our listeners. And if you want to learn more about Jamie and how he can help you, like you said, you can visit his site at TampaBayRadio.com. Also below this interview, we'll have a link to his site and any other contact information. So if you are needing assistance in the Tampa Bay area, you can definitely reach out and see if Jamie can help you. So with that said, everybody, until our next show, have a great day, and we'll talk to you all soon.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.